Somebody put this man Wolf Blitzer in witness protection, get him some security, some Secret Service, get him something, because the way he held Nancy Pelosi's, aka Nasty Nancy, feet to the fire was a thing of beauty. And I am so glad, I am so glad that the media is finally asking real questions to the Democrats and pointing out their corruption in the face of the American people in the last 2 weeks leading up to this election, because we need it done. Because they should have been doing this a long time ago. But better late than never. However, never late is better. Let's get right into it. My name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a liberal's worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at gforemanbcp. Let's get it. All right, guys, so I'm going to break down this video interview between Wolf Blitzer and Nancy Pelosi.
As you know, there are Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
Well, because, thank you very much, Wolf, and I hope you'll ask the same question of the Republicans about why they don't really want to meet the needs of the American people.
Bro, what are you talking about? How you start off the interview with a deflection, talking about the Republicans don't want to meet the needs of the American people when they have a $1.8 trillion stimulus on the table. See, she might be able to fool the average person, but she can't fool me. They presented packages from $500 billion all the way up now to $1.8 trillion.
But let me say to those people, because all of my colleagues, we represent these people. I have for over 30 years represented my constituents.
Too damn long. That's the problem. We need term limits. You've been in politics for too long.
I know what their needs are. I listen to them, and their needs are not addressed in the president's proposal. So when you say to me, why don't you accept theirs? Why don't they accept ours?
Well, the reason why is because everything in their bill, the Republican bill, is more than enough for what we need right now, assuming that we're going to be reopening, which is what we need to be doing. We need to be reopening, okay? The reason why they're not accepting yours is because you want to spend your money on a bunch of things that are not going to help, and it's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the Democrat bill. And you know that, and your constituents know that.
Our legislation is there to do three things primarily: to honor our workers, honor our heroes, our healthcare workers, our police and fire first responders, our teachers, our transportation, sanitation, food workers, the people who make our lives work.
So what does that mean, Nancy? We're talking about trying to get economic help to people, and you're talking about your bill honors teachers and sanitation workers. And it's nothing wrong with that in terms of when you say that as some type of platitude. But what does that really mean in terms of policy? What line item in the bill are you dedicating to honoring them? Are you giving them a ribbon? Are you giving them a trophy? Or are you giving them direct payments? Because if you're giving them direct payments, we can have a conversation about that. But just to say that you're honoring them, that's not enough. That doesn't go far enough in terms of adequately explaining why you won't accept the $1.8 trillion offer from the Republicans.
We couldn't be doing what we're doing without them. Many of them have risked their lives so that to save lives, and now they will lose their jobs because Mitch McConnell says let the states go bankrupt.
Excuse me for interrupting,
let the states go bankrupt.
Madam Speaker, but they really need the money right now, and even members of your own.
I understand that,
but even members of your own caucus. Even members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna, for example. But let me just quote Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat. And he just said...
Look how she just made that little face. Pay attention to how bad she talks about prominent members in her own party. Look at how bad she dismissed them moving forward in this video. She has no respect for anybody that's not a part of the corporate Democrat wing.
He said people in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal, put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist, and many of your colleagues apologists for the Republican position.
So she ignores the statement, basically. I want to say to you is, why are you an apologist to the Republicans? He's not talking to a Republican about why the Republicans won't accept the Democrat bill. If he had a Republican on, then yes, he may answer that question. That may be a legitimate question. But as it stands right now, and this is 100% true, the Democrats, all the House Democrats, wanted Pelosi to accept the deal a long time ago when it was at like 1.5 trillion. They wanted her to accept a deal a long time ago, and they're getting sick and tired of her waiting it out and pushing it out to try to get past the election. That is what's happening right now, and they're pressuring her to do something. And she's getting annoyed by it because she can't just straight out come out and say she's waiting to after the election to try to make Trump look bad. But see, this is how corrupt this person is. She has no respect for anybody, not even Wolf. She has no respect for Wolf. She has no respect for people in her party. This is who she is. And if you don't take away anything from this interview, guys, take away this. The corporate media has been so owned by these politicians, particularly CNN with the Democrat Party at this point, that Nancy Pelosi is so flustered and so frustrated and lashing out so bad because she did not expect Wolf Blitzer to ask her questions like this. She did not expect it. She did not see it coming. And when the media actually did their job, the first thing she was thinking about is that, wait, I bought you. You're supposed to be bought and paid for. I don't pay you to ask questions like this. I don't invite you to the dinner parties to ask me questions like this. You're not in my elitist circle to actually ask me real questions. That's what's going on here. Because a part of being on CNN, a part of being on MSNBC, and even Fox News to a certain extent, is that you can't ask real questions. You got to throw softball questions, and you got to play the game.
O'Connor, that's nice. That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now because people need help now.
So if you want it now, then take the deal now. And if you happen to win after the election, then do another deal if you need more money. But if you don't win, then maybe you can come back to the table and tell the American people, hey, we need more money. The Republicans don't want to spend, and fight it out then. But we've been negotiating this stimulus since late July. So if you wanted it to happen so bad, you would just take the deal that's on the table, in which the Republicans have increasingly came up to 1.8 trillion. Now I think the Democrats are at 2.2 trillion. So we're talking about what, $400 billion difference? You can't come back after this is done and maybe close the gap on that. But she has no intentions of doing that. It's not in her intentions.
But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing all we can.
See? And there we go. She just told you. She's more concerned about President Trump taking credit for the stimulus bill than actually helping put food on the table for the families and people that are out of work that she's helped contribute to, by the way, because she's the one that's been pushing for these lockdowns, and she wants you to stay locked down, and she doesn't want to give you any stimulus money or help you out because she'd rather you suffer and get mad at President Trump and blame it on him so that they can win the election. She's more concerned about her political career, guys, than actually helping the American people. She will put you in a position where you can't feed your family and then hold over stimulus money like this. Hey, guys, here's the stimulus. I'm trying to get it to you, but Trump is in the way. Trump is in the way. And every time President Trump tries to grab the stimulus, she pulls up. She's like, and then try to act like she's trying to help you. She's not. She has no intentions of passing stimulus before the election. And I've been saying this for the longest time.
Tell people pay the rent, put food on the table to enhance benefits, that they don't lose their jobs if they're state and local. We're talking about the consequences of a pandemic, that the symptoms of a problem that the president refuses to address.
But you know,
and that is the coronavirus.
We know.
The coronavirus. See, this is what typical Democrat playbook. Typical Democrat playbook. They do it every single time. Corona is the excuse for everything. Corona is an excuse for any and everything that they want to do, and they're going to use Corona to victimize themselves every single time they get asked a hard question or they don't get what they want. They're going to use Corona every single time. I mean, this is pathetic.
We know
the problem out there, but there are millions of Americans who have lost their jobs. They can't pay the rent. Their kids need the food.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to get done.
$1.8 trillion, and the president just tweeted, stimulus, go big or go home. He wants even more right now, so why not work out a deal with him, and don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good.
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with $1.8 trillion?
You know what? Do you have any idea what the difference is between the spending that they have in their bill and that we have in our bill? Do you realize?
Yeah, I do, because I've been paying attention to this. The Republican bill, the plan repurposes nearly $400 billion in unspent relief funds from the spring to offset part of the price tag, bringing the overall spending to $1.5 trillion. Some of the provisions include $1,200 direct payments to adults plus $1,000 for each dependent child. That's up $500 from the last stimulus. So she's talking about, money for the children and all this stuff. Well, the money's there. You're getting more money per dependent. Again, lies. $400 weekly federal unemployment benefits. Same thing. She's getting unemployment benefits. Again, she's holding up money for people who lost their jobs during this pandemic. That's in there. $300 billion in aid for state and local governments. What has she been talking about? Oh, we need more money for the states. That's there. $75 billion for coronavirus testing and tracing. That's there. The proposal increases the amount of aid to states by $50 billion. The stimulus check provision also bumps the amount for children to $1,000 instead of $500 provided under the CARES Act in March, just like I just said. So that's what's in the bill, guys, in terms of the main features. So I don't know what she's talking about.
That they have come back and said all these things for child tax credits and earned income tax credits for helping people who have lost their jobs are eliminated in their bill. Do you
wait? Helping people by extending unemployment for people that lost their jobs. That's not helping them. Giving them $1,200 direct payment and $1,000 per child is not helping them. Again, lies. I mean, she's just flat out lying about what's in the bill. But then she's trying to play off like she knows more than you and that she's above even Wolf Blitzer in terms of knowledge. And what she does know is actually in the bill. She's just lying. But she tries to act like you're too stupid to have this conversation with her, therefore she shouldn't be questioned.
Realize they pay no respect to the fact that child care is very important for people whose children cannot go to school.
Well, we really need to send them back to school, really. We need to open schools back up. This is, at this point, it doesn't make sense while we have this stuff closed down. It really don't. I mean, if you're at-risk teacher, okay, maybe you don't go to work. Maybe your class is 100% online. But at some point, we can't be shut down forever. And these Democrats don't have an answer for that. They never have an answer for how long should we be shut down. Because if shutdowns get to the point where, let's say there's 100 people with the virus, right, which would never happen. There's 100 people total. Do you open it back up at that point? Do you open it back up? And then that 100 people start spreading the virus again? And then it goes back up again, which is what's been happening in New Zealand, where they have to open the government and shut down the government, open and shut down. When is it going to be an end? There's no end game in sight when you talk about having to shut down the government and keep opening it back up and shutting down. There's no end game. We can't keep doing that. They don't ever have an answer for how long should the shutdown last. And will you have to shut down again if the shutdown doesn't work or completely eliminate the virus, which it won't. And that's what really frustrates me about the Democrats. They try to pretend like they're so responsible when it comes to this virus, but yet they don't have a plan at all. Zero, not a zip, none.
Because they're doing remote learning, and yet they minimize the need for child care, which is the threshold with which people, mothers and fathers, can go to work if they have that. Do you have any idea of how
That's precisely why, Madam Speaker.
Short, they're concerned.
That's why it's so important right now. Yesterday, I spoke to Andrew Yang, who says the same thing. It's not everything you want,
but you know what?
there's a lot there.
Honest to God, you really, I can't get over it, because Andrew Yang, he's lovely. Ro Khanna, he's lovely.
You see how dismissive she is? I actually like Yang. I think he has some interesting ideas. You see how dismissive she is towards people that are in her party? Do you see this? You see how little respect she has for those people? Those same people who've been working hard to try to push the stimulus and to be on her team. She's disrespectful and dismissive of them when they criticize her for being basically evil and corrupt. And now all of a sudden, what they say don't matter, their opinions don't matter, and they're nobody compared to her, which is essentially what she's saying. This woman has a power complex, guys. This is what happens when you're in politics for 20, 30 years. You get a power complex where you believe that you are God and that everything that you say is biblical law and that nobody should ever question it because you're running the show and it doesn't matter how overtly corrupt it is. It doesn't matter. You have to either get on board with the plan or you're going to be punished for it. That's essentially what Nancy Pelosi is demonstrating here.
They are not negotiating this situation.
The problem solvers, they all want a deal right now.
Yeah.
And here's what they're complaining about.
And that's right. Like I said before, guys, the Democrats have wanted this deal for a long, long, long time. They've been pushing her to pass it, and she's the sole reason why it's being hung up.
You wrote a letter to House Democrats, and you said this. Let me read a line from the letter you wrote. The president only wants his name on a check to go out before Election Day and for the market to go up. Is that what this is all about? Not allow the president to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans? Right?
Yes, you do. That's all you care about. And I guarantee your body language expert would look at her and be like, she's lying. I mean, look how she looked down. I mean, just look at her whole demeanor throughout this interview. She's so on the fence because she's lying, and she knows she's lying. She's lying through those dentures.
Right now.
He's not that important, but let me say this. With all due respect, and you know we've known each other a long time, you really don't know what you're talking about.
She just told Wolf Blitzer he doesn't know what he's talking about. When all he did was quote her. He quoted her, something that she said. Now all of a sudden, Wolf Blitzer doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the game that these Democrats like to play, guys. This is how corrupt they are. I mean, and she's so on the fence during this interview because she's lying. And all she really had to do was just say, hey, you know what? This is the amount of money we want to give specifically for child care in our bill, and the Republicans won't meet us on that. And we feel like that's very important for helping people get back to work. All she had to do was outline the details. But the only thing she can do is speak in platitudes and generalities without actually going into the details in terms of what's keeping them apart. She couldn't do it because she knows that's not what's keeping them apart. So at one point in this interview that I skipped over because I didn't want to make the interview too long. At one point in this interview, Wolf had asked her, at what point have you spoke to the president directly about this? Like, if you want this deal to be done so bad, why have you not got on the phone with the president and say, hey, you know what? Let's just make this deal. Let's come together and do what we got to do. And she just completely ignored the question. Didn't answer the question. Basically said the negotiations are between her and Mnuchin. And while that's true, at the same time, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere with Mnuchin, then sometimes you got to jump over him and go to the guy that's going to have to sign it in the first place. And that's what you would do if you actually really wanted a deal done. If she was actually really trying to get a deal done and looking out for the American people, she should have said, yes, I did get on the phone with President Trump. I tried to get on the phone with President Trump, and I tried to negotiate this deal, and I wanted to get it done. However, they're not willing to meet us. Now, if she would have said that, okay, that would have been like, all right, well, at least she's really trying. But the truth of the matter is, guys, she's not really trying. She doesn't care about you. She's literally held up stimulus for 4 or 5 months now. Money that you paid to the government. money that you need because her party helped shut down the government in the country for this pandemic. And now she's holding up the money solely as a political ploy to get President Trump out of office. And I'm so happy that this interview came out, because this clearly shows to the American people, and thank you, Wolf Blitzer, for asking real questions, holding her feet to the fire. This clearly shows to American people what's going on with this stimulus. This will clearly show you who has your best interest at heart and who doesn't. Who's trying to get a deal done and who's not. And it is very apparent. I don't know how anybody can watch this interview and not see that Nancy Pelosi is not negotiating in good faith, and she hasn't been negotiating in good faith since the first day that the second stimulus negotiation started. The Democrats didn't even want to take the negotiations serious until it came down to getting the post office money. And I made a video about that way back in the day. The Democrats, all of a sudden, when the post office looked like it was going to be in danger, aka mail-in ballots, aka voter fraud, aka their jobs were in danger, all of a sudden they was like, we need to get a deal done. We need to do something. We need to do something. They only care when it comes to their own jobs, but they don't care when it comes to your job, feeding your kids, feeding your family, putting food on the table. They don't care about you. But then they try to frame President Trump as some type of tyrant. When this is the real tyrant, guys. This is the real tyrant that is contributing to running this country. If you've seen this interview, you watch this video, and you still believe that it's President Trump's fault and that, he's the one that's not getting the stimulus out there, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Because this right here is clear, straight up corruption. I don't care about you. The only thing I care about is politics and getting Trump out of office. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.